Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Adrienne here, the Integrative Awareness Coach, and I just wanted to stop by for my weekly aha moments. And I wanted to share with you a couple of takeaways that I got from my Quantum Integration Summit that launched last Wednesday, a week from today. And before I do that, I just wanted to let you know that if you missed any part of it, missed any of the talks, or weren't able to attend, um, I have made all 8 talks available, which I will include the link um, to that in the description of this live once I get off. Okay. So I just wanted to let you know it includes all 8 talks, and it includes a free 25-minute meditation that I recorded especially for the summit entitled Remembering the Self. And it also includes a coaching slash healing session with me, whatever you choose. That's up to you. We can talk about it once you sign up. So I titled um, this episode this week, "What is Fixing You?" And I meant it as a way of thinking about the thoughts and the ideas and the beliefs that we have that fix us into a certain way of being. Now, on my Mind Heart Space Facebook page, I created a 90-day quantum abundance challenge through the venue, or the medium, I should say, of asking questions. And so every day I've been going on and I've been posting a different question. And I have some really sweet people on my Facebook page that have been answering my question for me. And I appreciate that support and enthusiasm. But I really wanted to communicate that there are as many answers as there are people. And there's something really magnetic and open about asking questions. Because when we start asking questions, we place ourselves in a position of openness, curiosity, exploration. And when we do that, it changes our entire energy, which makes us available for opportunities, ways of doing things, um, events, situations that we wouldn't have been energetically available for prior to. Because when we're fixed in our mindset, this affects how we show up in the world. It affects what we're open to receiving. So I think today my question was, um, how can I most graciously receive myself today? And I'm asking this question not because I want an answer per se. I want to explore what's possible when I begin to take an action of receiving myself with graciousness. Like, what can happen when I do this? When I release my fixation on who I think I am, on what I think I know. So these questions are more to our own consciousness, our own relationship to self, our own relationship to the universe and the cosmos. And so I invite all of you to participate with me by asking questions to your own consciousness, not because you need one answer or the right answer or any answer at all, but more aptly because it makes you available to possibilities that weren't available perhaps to you before. And so, with this being said, um, this was kind of connected in a way to how we relate to our ideas of who we think we are. And I posted a question in this description of this live today as a way to invite all of you to stop and consider who you are. A lot of times when you ask people who they are, they'll give their name or their their job title or their position or their role in their family. And those roles aren't who they are. There are certain ways that they show up in different communities at different times. Um, they're an aspect of how they show up in the world, but it's not necessarily who we are in an absolute sense. So the question is what form of myself am I holding on to that is stopping me from embracing my truest expression? So I'm going to say that again. What form of myself am I holding on to that is stopping me from embracing my truest expression? And it's even more than this. When I say form, I'm referring to ideas, beliefs, rules. You know, it's almost like we live our lives and we have an experience and we make a decision about who we are in that moment, and then we forget that it was just that moment and we continue to live into it like it's always been that way. And it's more like these ideas, these forms that we take on aren't necessarily who we are, but they're more like a psychological assessment of our experience that becomes fixed or cemented in our personality when that was never the intention. And then we start having all these cemented ideas fixed about who we are, and it gets our ability to show up in the world gets smaller and more narrow and more specific and more limited. And um, and so the real question, one of the I shouldn't say the real question, I should say another important question is that serving you, or is it keeping you stuck from being fully expressed in your passion and your joy and your creativity and doing the things that really light you up and excite you in this life? And so this is an opportunity to include ourselves or put ourselves back into the equation, because we're not just the form or the picture or the idea. We are the creator of the idea. We are the creator of the form. And somehow we forget that. We get caught up in the form and we think we're just the form. And so um, in my podcast this week entitled The Grounded Being, I include this question that I shared with you just moments ago about what form you might be holding on to that is keeping you from fully expressing who you are. And I add to it 4 other questions that emerged out of my talks last Wednesday in my summit. And I'm sharing them with you in my podcast as guideposts, because it's not enough to have um, all of these ideas and this information that was shared. It's like, how do I get to apply it in my life? How does it impact my everyday being in a transformative way? So I invite you to check out that if you haven't. I'll include the link to my podcast in this description of this live as well. And I also wanted to give you a special invitation to my year-long mentorship, where we're going to be taking a deep dive into this topic of being the creator in our life through the forms, beliefs, and ideas that we attach ourselves to. And we are going to look at the possibilities that arise when we become an active co-creator in this construct that we call the personality or the self. And a lot of people will say, well, that's just the way I am, that's my personality. And I would ask you, is it? Is that the way that, is that just the way you are? Is that just your personality? Or was that a response and a reaction to a decision that you made about the way the world is? And when did you make that decision? And is that decision still serving you? So, if topics like this inspire you, they interest you, if you find them empowering, then I invite you to check out my year-long mentorship. It is called A Life-Changing Path to Self-Mastery Through Higher Awareness. So one of the many topics that arose through the summit this last week was um, what is our relationship to our own awareness and our consciousness? And a lot of the things that we were told about who we are, we inherited. They're assumptions. They're not necessarily valid or true. And I've seen this time and time again. When we connect with the ideas that we have about who we are and we meet them on the field of life and we begin a authentic inquiry asking, is that true? Is that even true? And how long have I been telling myself that and living my life into that, paying my life energy into that? So I will include the link to that, to the event page here in the description as well. It's a 1-year mentorship where we will each month look at a different aspect of ourself and our relationship to it. So, uh, so we can step through limitations, blockages, beliefs, ideas that may have kept you stuck for years. And this is not necessarily taking your worldview, and it's not taking your worldview and putting it into more of the same. It's like taking your worldview and looking at the place in which you made that construct, and then giving yourselves the tools, the practice, the support, and the guidance that you need to choose constructs that are in alignment with who you are now in this moment, that are in alignment with what you say is important to you at this time in your life. It's never been more important, right? Because what's the other choice? To blame, to feel powerless, to feel out of control, um, to be out of fact in your own life. And um, that's one option, right? It's not necessarily the only option. And this is what I mean at the fundamental level of what truly abundance is that when we begin to ask these key questions, we open the door to the possibility that something else is available that wouldn't have been available if we hadn't have asked, because we wouldn't even be available or open to it. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. If you stopped by, say hello, leave an emoji, let me know you were here. If any of this resonated with you today, tell me what resonated with you, what part um, you know, stuck out to you. made you stop and go, huh, I wonder about that? Where in your life are you um, getting stuck? What's your biggest limitation or setback right now? Today I created a post that said, you can have it all. And most people really like to hear that. Like, I can? But they can't imagine how. Because we've been taught either we can have this or that, but we can't have and. I don't know. Is that even true? And is it our belief in it that makes it true? So, these are the questions. What is fixing you in the place that you are today? And are you willing to give it up to create a new possibility for your life? And I think this is one of the most important questions anyone can ask for many reasons, which I will not go into today. All right, good to see you. I hope you guys are all well. I'll include all those links in this live, and I hope you guys are having a beautiful day, beautiful week so far as we hit Wednesday. What do they call Wednesday? I guess midweek, yeah. Um, I thought there was another name for it. I can't remember it right now. Huh. All right. Well, I'll catch you next time, you guys. Bye for now.